Hey y'all, No here. Well, this week we're going to attempt to answer the simple question, is it a sin to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Now, if you think it's a trick question, you wouldn't be wrong. Because like a lot of things in life, it depends on the circumstances, doesn't it? I would say in a lot of cases, the answer would be no, it's not a sin to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But there are some circumstances where it definitely might or would be a sin to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. For instance, if we had a peanut allergy, then that would be wrong to intentionally eat peanut butter, which we know would make us sick and maybe even cause us to die. That wouldn't be being a very good steward of our bodies, would it? Or what if we knew that our neighbor or our friend didn't have enough to eat, and we had a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and we were sitting there eating our sandwich right in front of them when they had nothing to eat? Well, it would probably be wrong not to share what we have with them if they were in need. Now, is it wrong to steal a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Well, I think in all cases, I can't think of a single circumstance where it would be right to steal something from somebody else. So I think we would definitely say that that is a sin. But what we're seeing here is there's two different ways that we can commit a sin. The first and most obvious way that we can commit a sin is by doing something wrong. For instance, going and stealing something that belongs to somebody else. But there's also another way that we can sin, and that is found in the book of James, 4th chapter and 17th verse. And it says, "Therefore, to the one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin." So we see here that sin is not always something that we do. Sometimes sin is something that we don't do. And I wouldn't be surprised if we take a look at our lives and take a look at our actions each day, if we might not find out that more of our sins are things that we knew we should have done but didn't do than the things that we knew we shouldn't do and did do. And there's a lot of sins I've committed in my life. There's a lot of things that I'm sorry for, and there's a lot of things that I regret. But I would say that the things that I regret the most are not the things that I did that I knew I shouldn't have done, but the good things that I had an opportunity to do, but for whatever reason, I was either afraid to do them, too busy to do them, too selfish to do them. Those are the kind of things that I regret more than things that we would think of as doing bad things that might hurt someone else. And I think the reason for that is that when we do something that hurts another person, usually, in most cases, we have the opportunity to go to that person and apologize and say, "I'm sorry," and try to put right the wrong that we did. But so many times when we have the opportunity to do something good for someone else, a lot of times that opportunity is just in front of us for just a few seconds sometimes, or at most a few minutes. And if we don't seize that opportunity when it happens, then a lot of time it's gone and we don't have a chance to go and do that good thing that we should have done because the circumstances caused that opportunity to vanish very quickly. Things just like, just saying a kind word to someone, or, letting someone else go first in line, just smiling at somebody. But once you walk past that person that you didn't know was coming and didn't know that opportunity was going to be there, a lot of times once that opportunity is gone, it's gone, and there's nothing we can do to get it back. So I think that's why I regret, things that I didn't do more than things that I did do. And which one is the most prevalent? I don't know. I've got plenty of things to be sorry for both ways, but it seems like the things that stick in my memory are things that I didn't have a chance to go back and say, I'm sorry that I didn't help you. I'm sorry that I didn't stop and check on you and ask you if there's a problem and things like that. Now, there are 4 different words in the New Testament that I was able to find that are translated as the English word sin. But what I found was all 4 of those words that are translated from Greek into English meaning sin come from the same root word in Greek, which is the word hamartano. And Lord only knows if I pronounced that right. And if I didn't, Lord, I'm sorry. I tried the best I could. But the definition of the Greek word hamartano means to miss the mark. It has the idea of, like a person shooting at an arrow, in a archery target, there's a bullseye in the middle of it. And what the archer always tries to do is hit that innermost circle that is the very best that he can shoot that arrow. And so sin is like that too. And, God's purposes for us is like that too. God has the perfect action that we should always demonstrate, but we don't always do the perfect thing that God wants us to do. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we hit that circle just right in the center, and that is the definition of what is not sin. But when our arrow starts getting away from that little circle in the middle and it gets farther and farther away from the target, then that is what is sin. And so sin is when we don't hit that center, when we don't do the thing or make the choice or whatever it might be, that's exactly what God wants us to do or to not do, then that's the way that sin was defined in the Greek language. So this week we're going to make something. you're going to have to make a lot of it yourself, but you're going to make something for the kids in your class. They're going to do a little bit of the work, but depending on the age of your students and how good they are with their hands and stuff, it's going to decide how much of the work that they are going to do. But it's going to be a game that they can play where they will get a chance to try and hit a target. So the question you want to ask them when they start playing the game is, how many ways are there that you can miss the target? And we'll see how insightful your students are if they can figure out that there's 2 ways. So with that said, let's go and I'll show you how to do the craft. All right, well, here's our finished product. So we've got a target and we got some ammunition. And so our target is just a piece of felt, and what you're going to do is make yourself a pattern. I made these out of cardstock, and so you're just going to cut some strips of cardstock, and then you're going to use a hot melt glue gun. Going to put glue down the backside, stick it on the felt, and then once the hot melt glue hardens, make sure you don't put too much, but then you can just take a hole puncher and you can punch holes through the cardstock and the felt both at the same time. So that part you're going to have to do yourself before you get to class. The part that your students may be able to do, if they're good at tying string, is you could cut the pieces of yarn and have them thread it through and tie it. With 5-year-olds, I didn't let them do hardly any of it except the part where they made their ball to throw at the target. So the size of this particular piece of felt, and of course you don't have to use the same exact size, but this was the size that worked pretty well for the material that I was able to buy. And I can't remember, I think I bought this felt at Walmart in the fabric department. If Walmart doesn't still keep it, Amazon has everything, I suppose. But anyway, this particular piece is about 10.5 by 9.5 or so. Not a big deal. I mean, just cut it big enough to where you can put a target in the center of it. And your target doesn't have to be as fancy as this. To make my target, I just made a stencil. And I just cut a round circle out of some poster board. And this particular circle is 4 inches in diameter. And then you cut that out, and then you can take an X-Acto knife or something and cut out the cross that's in the center. So then you're just going to put it like this. And again, this is probably something you're going to want to do ahead of time because what I use to put the target on with is a red paint marker, like I got this at Hobby Lobby also. It's kind of hard to have to shake it. But anyway, then you take your paint marker and then just trace around the outside and then on the inside to make the shape of the cross. So you're going to have to decide how much of that you want to do yourself. I would recommend do the whole target yourself. You're definitely going to have to do the part where you have to use the hot melt gun because, and if you wanted to let your students, draw the target in the center, well, they're going to have to take turns sharing the stencil and the paint marker, or if you want to buy more than one paint marker. But that adds up in cost pretty quickly. But if you have just a very small class or you're just teaching your own children at home, then they absolutely could do this whole thing, assuming they're, old enough with your supervision to use a hot melt gun. But here is the part that most any students, regardless of their age, should be able to do. And that's going to be to make the ball that you're going to throw at the target. So what you're going to start out with are some of these styrofoam balls. And these particular ones that I used were 1.5 inches in diameter. And so what you're going to have to do is to pre-cut some sticky back Velcro, and the circumference around this ball is going to be about 4 inches, and the width of the Velcro that I'm using is 3/8 of an inch wide. I can't remember if I had to cut wide Velcro and make these thinner strips or not. You may be able to get it into a width that is thin like this. You definitely don't want it to be wider than 3/8 of an inch because it won't stick down onto the ball. It'll try to wrinkle in the middle. So 3/8 of an inch is about as big as you want to get. You might even be able to find Velcro that's 1/4 inch wide. And so you're just going to cut it into strips. And so all you have to do is peel off the backing, or in this case, have your students peel it off. So I'm going to peel that backing off, and then just going to go around like that, and then you go around so that the two ends are facing towards each other. Then you're going to take second piece of Velcro and you're going to stick it on at a 90-degree angle to the first piece. Hope your fingernails are working better than mine. There we go. This is some pretty old Velcro, so yours will probably do better. So I'm just going to take the middle, put it like that, and then just wrap it around. And if the Velcro overlaps over the top of itself or the other piece of Velcro, doesn't make really that much difference. Because all we're really putting the Velcro on the ball for is so that when we toss it at the target, it's going to stick and not fall off. So let's take a couple of shots at the target. And this is going to be where you're going to ask your kids how many different ways can they miss the target. So let me set that up for you, and I'll show you how to put the target on the wall. So you're just going to put a push pin in the wall. Hopefully you have a sheetrock wall. Or if you don't, you could take a piece of tape if you've got like a concrete wall or something like that. You just tape it up. But at home, this is how they're going to play the game. And so allow a lot of time, because you could even have your students line up and use one ball and let them take turns firing at one target. So the question you want to ask your students before they start tossing the ball at the target is, how many different ways can we miss that target? And so this is one of the ways that we can miss the target. Well, actually, that's one of the ways we can hit the target. I would say beginner's luck, but I don't believe in luck. Here's another way that we can miss the target. And that is the most frequent way that we might miss the target, is if our aim is no good. But now I'm going to show you the second way that you can miss the target. Did you see it? You didn't see anything? Well, I actually did something just then. It's called nothing. The other way that you can miss the target is if you never throw at it. And so that is like our sin of omission. That is like those times when we have a chance to do the right thing and we know it's the right thing to do. We have all the resources that we need in order to do the right thing, but we didn't do the right thing. So that's the other way that we can miss the target, as if we see the target, but we don't take any action. We see the right thing to do, but we don't do anything. So I hope your students have a lot of fun with that. I know mine always did back when I was teaching. And I hope they'll understand that God expects us to not do wrong things, but He also expects us to do the right things also. And when we fail at either one of those, we are missing the mark, we are missing the target that is the very best that God has for us. So I believe that's everything for this week. I don't think I left out anything on the craft. If you have any questions, you can just leave a comment or a question in the comments section, and I'll try to check on that and answer any questions that you might have. As always, I appreciate you watching. God bless you, each and every one, and via con Dios.